There are a lot of success stories on Twitter right now with people that managed to turn their life around. And I got only two of them to show you, but if you go on Twitter, there's a lot more. And you get to see how, for example, this lady on the right managed to change her life after stopping hanging out with people who are bad for her and letting other people influence her. So she stopped self harming, she stopped being anxious and depressed. She stopped listening to music that made her feel terrible. She stopped being angry. She stopped being lukewarm. And she stopped, according to her, looking like a clown. And for her, this is a positive change. And we get to see another lady which stopped doing drugs, went to therapy, left feminism, and instead embraced femininity, aligned her behavior with her faith, so I guess she found religion, overcame anxiety and depression, embraced positivity, taught others how to heal, got married to her dream man, and is living the best of her life. And I thought about it a lot. What exactly managed to get these ladies to change their life around? And I think it can be summed up to they stopped listening to other people that see only wrongness in society and they tried to change the world and instead focused more on how they can be happy, how they can improve themselves. They cut the ties with the friends that were getting them to be depressed, that were getting them to be constantly upset and constantly offended at everything. And the moment they did that, they realized that life isn't so bad. They realized that there are other goals they can pursue, and that's how they found happiness. And it's really interesting because it reminds me when I was in fifth grade, I had this bully in my school that really enjoyed bullying girls. He would take away their toys or their notebooks, hang them above their head. Sometimes he would pull the girl's hair. And there was like this event where he took a piece of gum, and stuck it into a girl's hair. And what ended up happening is that other girls stopped talking to him, and other girls stopped talking to people that were talking to him. So eventually he got isolated. No one wanted to interact with him because he was toxic. And the person needed to have this self reflection, needed to realize that there is something wrong with their life and they had to change. I think the reason for this is that humans want companionship. They want a significant other that they can share their life with, and they want to be surrounded by friends. So when this guy got isolated by everyone and no one wanted to interact with him, he had to change. He had to do this self reflection. And he ended up changing. And when we finished high school, he actually was a pretty popular guy, but he had to work a lot in order to get to that point. And I think that the far left activists who are only interested into power politics and how to gain power and how to build up a group of people that will raise them into power are fully aware of the power that this dynamic has, that human beings seek companionship first and foremost, and human beings cannot get fulfillment if they go through life solo. So when they notice that there is this trend where men refuse to date woke people, yeah, they freak out because they realize just how dangerous this is. And that's why they freaked out when an artist from the UK said he will never date a feminist. And the guy was savagely attacked for this on social media because they realized that if other men think this way, if other people think this way, then a lot of their people from the movement are going to leave. In fact, I honestly believe that this is why you have a lot of weird guys that end up being feminists, and then you see them in a newspaper that they ended up sexually molesting one of the girls there. And it's also why other men feel a little bit weird when they meet a male feminist. Like, if you have an ideology that says all men are rapists and all men are evil and all men are like this magical cock and balls in the sky that are the patriarchy and they're only there in order to oppress women, a man that believes in that ideology and a man that is okay with that must swallow his pride in a certain way, must disavow all other men as being evil. And you have to question, like, why exactly is he doing this? Like, what does he get in return? And a lot of men are believing that the reason someone would do something like this is to just get in with the girls. Like, it's a disingenuous person. He's not really believing that he is evil. He's not really believing that his jokes are causing rape culture. But what he does is that he pretends to believe it so he can get closer to the women that he wants to molest. This is why male feminists are usually viewed with, like they have a stink on them. It's pretty much similar to like a guy that goes into a park full of kids while not having a child of his own. You know, the action in itself isn't necessarily bad. Like maybe he is playing Smash Mario Bro competitively and wants to talk with the other kids. But chances are there are other reasons why he is there. So, you know, like the simple action of being a male feminist isn't a problem, but like it raises questions, let's say. I mean, look at the Me Too movement. Where did it struck? It struck at the heart of Hollywood. It struck at the heart of progressive culture. It wasn't in conservative places. It wasn't in places where the Republicans are running things. Now, was it? No, it was Hollywood, it was academia, and it was progressive newspapers with people that called themselves male feminists. It's one of the reasons that I believe feminism was dropped was due to the fact that it started affecting the same people pushing it. It started affecting actors. It started affecting influencers, people in the media, you know, the rich, successful men. And now they silently dropped it. Like, you're not going to see it being promoted. They're all about transgenderism now. And feminists like J.K. Rowling are considered TERF, which is a slur. And I think it's because transgenderism can't be weaponized against the elites like feminism can. Like, feminism believes all men are part of the patriarchy and they control all the power in a society. And I don't think, like, LGBT ideology can be weaponized in the same way against the people that are at the top, against the higher-ups. But as you see, you now have all these articles coming up and saying that one writer at The Woman Lifestyle gave voice to the collective feminist angst on Wednesday when she penned an emotional several thousand-word essay bemoaning the men who deny racism and sexism, perpetuate the patriarchy, decry white privilege, and ultimately declaring those who refuse to pair up with women who could give them comprehensive lectures on the subject over vegan meals, and they call all these men as being insidious. And I think is that deep inside, this feminist understands the power of saying no. It's a power that I have seen the left trying, and unsuccessfully I might add, to weaponize against its critics. I have seen plenty of articles in publications asking women not to date men that have a MAGA hat. I have seen articles where a woman would say, yeah, I really love my husband, I really like how he is, but then I found out he's a Trump supporter and I dumped him. And they want these articles to be something that other followers would go through, like they want to point this as being virtuous and moral not to date people that are in the opposite tribe. And I don't think it worked. You know, recently I even seen ridiculous articles where you would have a person saying, if you date a significant other that wouldn't have sex with a trans person, like wouldn't suck the cock of a woman, basically, then you're not a good trans ally. And other trans allies should distance themselves from you. Like they're trying really hard in order to channel this energy, which seems to be channeled naturally from the right against the left at this point. And I don't think it has anything to do with the ideology. It just has to do with people that have common sense realizing that you can't have a relationship with someone that has completely different values than you. Like this would be the same for me, not wanting to have a relationship with someone that's a crazy Christian. You know, someone that legitimately believes God speaks into their ear and legitimately believes that, you know, my country is surrounded by sinful people and it's up to them in order to set things right. Like, I would probably have very little in common with that person as an atheist. What seems to happen is that men are likely to date a woman that's a feminist, okay? Like, especially if she's hot. But there are, like, different levels of feminism. It's like autism. It's a spectrum. So if it's a little feminist and it has like a couple of feminist concepts over there, then yeah, sure. But if it goes on full on cancer mode where it's like, oh, all white people are racist, all men are rapists, blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, you're not going to have much in the way of success. And especially if she decides to use the feminist haircut and, dye her hair in all these colors, put a lot of piercings. Yeah, she's probably not going to attract the type of guys that she's into. A lot of guys are going to be put off by it. Because it's in the ideology. Like, you're going against beauty standards. Like, you're doing this on purpose. And the beauty standards are actually there in order to help you find companion, because it's what is more likely to attract the person. Imagine if I were to shave my head and tattoo a swastika on my forehead. How many women do you think would like me then? It's so ridiculous. It's like, yeah, I want to go against what society finds acceptable. And then I go out in a club and I like, well, why are people picking on me, But yeah, no, so my point is that you have these people that are into an ideology that can't be debunked. Like, if you read White Fragility by Ray D'Angelo, she actually says that all white people are racist. And when you accuse a white person of racism, if they claim they're not a racist, then that proves they're a racist. So in other words, you as a white person, well, you're accused of being racist. If you deny it, then you're a racist. If you accept that you're a racist, well, you're still a racist. So there is no escaping this ideology. There is no talking them out of. There's nothing you can do that can debunk their premise. And as such, why would you want to go in a relationship with a person that thinks you're evil? Like, how can you have respect for someone that is a racist? So the relationship by default is not built on respect and mutual trust. So that's why you're not going to get relationships. It's not only that you have an ideology that makes your significant other appear like he's an evil person. I mean, yeah, he doesn't want to eat vegan meat. He's a animal torturer and he likes animal suffering. Well, why would I want to get in a relationship with a person like that when I have plenty of opportunities? Like, one of the things feminism brought is indeed the sexual liberation of women. And now I can just log on Facebook if I was single, and I can find plenty of women that are available and they share my personal beliefs. Why would I go out with you? You should go out with men that believe the things you believe. And this is the funny part, because I think the activists know two things. Number one, there aren't that many men that legitimately believe all of this spectrum. And secondly, they know that the type of men that do believe all of this spectrum aren't very appealing. Because look at the type of men that women like. Where do they spend money in order to get entertainment that has men that they like? Well, 50 Shades of Grey, Twilight, like all these romances and comedy flicks which have men suffering of toxic masculinity. It's like, I don't think Christian Grey from 50 Shades considers him to be a racist, considers him to be a sexist, considers that he lives in a rape. Like, notice how that doesn't happen in the movie. No, he's a muscular man that's very wealthy. He's part of the bourgeoisie, the ruling class. He's got people under him that he oppresses through his capitalist wealth. And he takes that woman, makes her sign a contract, and then does unspeakable things to her. That is the movie that women like to go. It's not my type of movie. I don't like that. You would have to drag me kicking and screaming by probably 2 girlfriends in order to go see that movie. But when you look at who goes to see it, mostly women. That's the type of men they like. And this is the type of men that this ideology is saying that they're evil. So they're not in this particular group. No, they're in the group that tells the feminists, no, I'm not going to date you. So anyway, right, let me know what you think about my little analysis on the subject. And I will see you guys in the comment section.